introduction. Rise and shine, wild ones. It's Bernadette. And I'm here for your Pick a Card Daily Tarot reading for Saturday, April 4th. No, it's April 3rd. Saturday, April 3rd, 2021. Y'all. Okay, listen. I'm just going to go right into it. No preamble, no nothing, except for thank you very, very much. I realized yesterday I can no longer be a Southerner. The gal that that gifted me this the spoon, the bear. If you saw the daily reading from yesterday, I forgot to thank her on video. I was just still so flummoxed and still just so in awe and just so in such a place of gratitude. So thank you very much. You know who you are. Still haven't been able to catch up in touch with you to mention your name and mention your Etsy shop. But in any event, thank you very much. And also thank you, a million thank yous for you all that are supporting the Kickstarter and those of you that are supporting me and it's magical. And so here's why today's reading is so kooky, crazy important, right? So this is going to be probably a super unusual reading because, so I'm, excuse me, I'm sitting here and, you know, I'm shuffling the cards, yak, yak, yak. And I'm just singing, you are the light of the world, but if that light is under a bushel, you may have lost something kind of crucial. You gotta stay bright to be the light of the world. From Godspell, right? And I'm like, let your light so shine before men, let your light so shine. Bloop! And out comes, you cannot make this up! The squirrel card. The dang Ace of Wands. Now, what does it read at the bottom of that card? If my dang camera will ever focus, y'all, it reads bright future. So an inspiration. So let your light so shine before men. Whee! We've got flying squirrels all over my office. I just love my job. I just love everybody needs to have a job like mine, for real, y'all. Okay, so listen. Here's why this is important. Because today's Saturday is ruled by the that one right there, bloop, 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 third eye, the third eye chakra, and I know the color is indigo, but I just could not put myself in indigo. I had to be in all kind of sunny, bright, inspirational stuff today because just the sheer volume of inspiration that's happening because of this Kickstarter and this book. Who'd have thunk it? So, but what's so interesting is, when I sat, after I stopped laughing, when I sat for a minute with Squirrel, and I got crazily enough, I think I said in a reading, I don't know, some months ago, that I just couldn't understand why more squirrels weren't in my backyard. You breathe something into the universe, and now they're everywhere. It looks like I'm running a refugee camp for squirrels in my backyard. So anyway, but I love them. They're the cutest dang things ever. And so, I was sitting there talking to the animal allies, and there's this little squirrel sitting right in front of me. Y'all ever heard of a fox squirrel? I couldn't find a picture of one, but I will. They're as big as a fox. That's why they're called fox squirrels, because sometimes you can't tell the difference between them and foxes. I've had the good pleasure to see one time when I lived out on my 10 acres, I don't know, a few years back. My then husband and I walked out and went, what is that? It was a fox squirrel. They're ginormous. I just love them. And I was there for a few months and never saw them again. But here's what Squirrel told me, which is crazy because this ties into a whole nother thing. So, you know, when you take a look at the traditional meanings of the Rider-Waite tarot card for the Ace of Wands, you know, it's the hand of God coming out of the sky, and it's all about manifesting what you desire and gaining rewards, and it's about growth and great relationships and maintaining an upbeat attitude, and it's all about, you know, fortune favors the bold, that kind of thing. And that does kind of tie into yesterday with the rabbit. Which is, you know, listen, you're stronger than you know, and you have more spoons than you know, and just stop it. And ask, right? Like, I'm so guilty of not asking. I'm so guilty. It's a Jewish thing. We wear guilt well. So in any event, you know, there's all this fabulousness, right? And then there's adorable squirrel, which interestingly enough, you know, I do crazy heavy research on the animal allies before I mention one thing about them in print, or I, you know, even say, well, look, I'm channeling this, you know, or downloading this from their energy or whatever. But what's so interesting is that among some Native American tribes, the squirrel is seen as a sign of impending danger. Okay, Crazy, interesting, listen to this. So also with squirrels, they have a habit of, my God, they stay so crazy busy, and they're just making all these little holes and storing food away and whatever. And in some of the holes, they don't store any food. It's meant to fake out other critters who eat acorns and nuts and that kind of thing. Well, it fakes the critters out, sure enough, because come wintertime, when those poor little rascals need their food, they can only harvest about 10% of what they put all around, because they can't, we assume they can't remember where they planted all those holes for all those months with all that food in it. Which always, it always has reminded me that you've got to be really careful what comes out of your mouth, because that's, I mean, if you've ever seen a squirrel transport their food, literally it's like one acorn at a time in their little mouth, diggy, 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 plop it in there, covered up, off they go for more stuff. It's not like they've got, wheelbarrows, y'all, okay, or dollies. They don't have that. Although they should. Maybe I'll make them some. I bet the Fae folk make them some. I bet the Fae folk help them out. Haven't seen that, but I would bet that. So I digress. But so I always think you got to be careful what's coming out of your mouth. But then when you think about all of the manifesting that the Ace of Wands is all about, and when you think about the whole this area of your body thing, let me tell you a story, and let me tell you why. Just like yesterday when I was like, I spoke it to the universe, I spelled it to the universe, poof, that I needed more spoons, poof, the very next day, not only show up a spoon, a sterling silver spoon with a bear on it. Come on now, you can't make that up. You cannot make it up. And if I could tell you, if I had gotten this gal's permission to tell you, I'd hold her little note up in front of you so you could see it. Anyway, so, and I if you're watching, I don't have your permission to use your name either, so I won't. But this is just, man, this has eaten me up for the last 2 days. So somebody called to book a reading the day before the Kickstarter started, and I was in the middle of anything other than psychic land. I wasn't in the woo-woo space at all. But I have this thing called incoming, where I can feel everything inside of me start to go, like, expand out. I'm like, oh, here we go. And that's always a call that the universe wants that person right there at that point to know that. So I say to this person, let me go on record as saying I'm not in the zone. I'm not in the woo-woo zone, but I believe I have a message coming through for you. May I deliver it? Yes. So it was this whole thing that we started with. I feel like I've got somebody on the other side. It's mediumship in a military outfit, but definitely a badge on. Nope, can't claim that. Maybe way back on my partner's side. That's not close enough. It doesn't. I guess it could be, but we went through a couple. I was like, okay, listen, shortly you're going to find out who this is. And I said, and now I'm being led to like the police or a firefighter, but it is for sure. About valor and honor, and I don't know, I think I said, laws, or I don't even remember what I said. And so I'm delivering this message, right? Delivering the message. And I just breathed police, badge, uniform, honor and valor. You're going to have a little bit of an issue, but it's no problem. You just got to stick to your guns, so on and so forth. Okay. So this person says, I'm like, are you okay? I have to call you back. Okay. I just got pulled over by the police. So, if you're watching, I just can't apologize to you enough. I don't know, because I wasn't 100% of it in the Spidey sense zone. I don't know that I wasn't getting a futuristic thing for you. I still feel like it had to do with a crossing over thing with the message, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't have meant both things, which, by the way, means, it is not, for those of you out there that are studying mediumship, that are studying psychic development, that kind of thing, it is not unusual to get a cross-purpose message. It's just, it happens all the time. And, certainly I would have loved to have been able to save that person from a ticket, because they're no joke. No matter what state you're in, they're no joke. But what that has to do with Squirrel today is this. Please remember, as you're going through your day, and you are, if you're working with your third eye chakra and you're developing it, or you might be sitting because you need to get some messages or some insight into something, you like Squirrel, be sure you're not sending out false information. Case in point. So I went to pick up, this time I got to go to Walgreens. It was a banner day in my house. I didn't go to Publix. I got to go to Walgreens because that's where there is to go in a pandemic in Gainesville, Florida. Woo-hoo! So I didn't even get out of my car. I pulled up to get my script. And just the sweetest gal, just, she was helping me out. And then she said something about her dream one day was to do something. I don't even remember what she said, and I don't even remember how we got on the conversation. But that's also what you do in the South. You talk about stuff with people that you don't know, and you stay there for 15 or 20 minutes, and, you get your moonshine or your lemonade or your, or your prescriptions from Walgreens, and you mosey on about your own business. So, and then she said, like, that will ever happen. I looked at her and I said, well, why wouldn't it happen? And she said, well, she had a litany of things that didn't make a lick of sense why she couldn't overcome those to me. They were crazy, silly things like money, like time, like this, like that. And I said, well, you make time to do this, don't you? Well, of course I do. And I said, well, you make time to do this, don't you? Yeah. And you make money, don't you? Yeah. I'm sorry. Did I miss something in this conversation? She looked at me and I said, listen, I don't know you and you didn't ask my opinion, but you seem to be a very earnest and honest person. Like whatever you say really matters. Like it's like the truth. Like you don't say anything that you don't think is the truth. And she said, interestingly, the truth is very important to me. And she told me some things about her growing up anyway, so on and so forth. And I said, well, when you say those kind of things out loud, you're giving them power and they're truths. At that point, they are truths. And I said, so if you really want this dream to come true, I would really encourage you to think possibly that you are lying. You're lying. So when you say this could never happen because of this and this and this, actually you're telling a lie. You should have seen the look on her face. She got it. She understood. She said, that's about that law of attraction stuff, isn't it? I said, why, yes, it is. I said, have a good evening. And I took a little pill, dinky, 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 and I went home. I cannot emphasize enough to y'all today in this sacred moment, please know that whether you speak it or you think it or you send it out or you believe it, it's the same as just having a conversation like we're having now with the universe. Squirrels are notorious for not having things come out of their mouth that when they go to manifest them, they had a mistruth come out of their mouth, and so they can't manifest it. So I would invite you to take a look at that with Squirrel, because on the same token, in other cultures, other than the Native American thing that we just cited, and I'm so sorry, I don't off the top of my head know which tribes it is they are that believe this, but I know they're there. And the thing about it is there's the flip side of that is that you do create an opportunity for buried treasure for you to discover for yourself later. What I mean by that is this. So you just, all of the times that we think, well, that was a way. Here's my favorite thing that people say about relationships, because when somebody's angry or they're hurt and their relationship is over or whatever, they tend to say, well, that was 3 years of my life wasted, or that was 20 years of my life wasted. And I say, I hope you don't really believe that. How could it possibly have been wasted? Was every single waking moment and sleeping moment spent being in agony and misery? I've had a couple people answer me yes, to which I have responded, I got nothing for you. I can't help you with that. Because you and I both know better than that. I know we do. You're in a place now where you might really believe that, but really in the scheme of things, that's not the case. But when you take a look at everything that's happened around you, inside of you, outside of you, I believe that Squirrel is telling you that you've got lots of buried treasure down inside of you. And that whatever you're speaking out loud, whatever's coming out of your mouth that is a false truth or is just plain old a lie, don't write me and say, you called me a liar, you triggered me. Don't do that. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is, well, what Squirrel is saying is, that's really what Squirrel is saying. But translated into human, The squirrel is saying, yes, that can be true. I can portend of not so great times. Because sure as I was speaking that police stuff out of my mouth, woo, 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 woo was coming up behind that person. Oh, I feel so bad about that still. Even though this person begged me not to feel badly about it, I don't take direction very I don't take direction very well. I feel bad. So there is just something about this that, it's just really important for you to realize you're not, some things that are coming out of your mouth are just not, they're not true, and they're going to cause you not to be able to manifest the very things that you are trying to manifest. The flip side of that, is that you've got you're being asked. Who could deny that sweet little face? Come on, y'all. Squirrely, squirrely, whirly, whirly, whirly is asking you to just sit back and think. Okay, here's where I'm at. How do I feel about that? Am I happy? Am I sad? Do I have what I want? Do I want more of this? Do I want less of this? Just kind of take stock, right? Dig in your own little hole, and then figure out what it is that you want, and figure out what it is that you already have that are treasures inside of you. Experiences and this and that, and ways of thinking and doing and being that you may not even have imagined that you picked up along the way. And that's both, listen, that can be a lot of things. That can be along the way you've picked up the ability to draw clear boundaries. That might be you've picked up confidence. That might be that you like me, you cranked it down a notch or two, with a lot of different things. And I keep hearing the word organic, and what that means is it's got to be the organic things the organic treasures. So, for instance, I've cranked it down a notch. Listen, triple Scorpio. Can you imagine when I was a kid? Good goo. So, I I don't know why they call Scorpios water signs, because I set everything to boil when I was a kid, including myself. So, but I don't do that anymore. Where I'm going with this is, I just don't know any other way to say it. It just keeps coming to me the same way when I cock my ear up and hear the animal allies. Not only are you a treasure, but inside of you are all these treasures, all these hidden gems. And that's it! Oh my gosh! Hidden gems. You are the treasure box, and you're looking for the hidden gems inside of yourself because you don't remember where you hid them. Why couldn't that have just come out the first 2 seconds of the reading? Okay, that's it. That's all you need to know. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my Kickstarter. If you haven't supported the Kickstarter, you've got to get yourself this amazing book, the most comprehensive and complete book on animal spirit guides in the history of time, of all time. No joke, it really is. And you've got to have it. And so thank you so much. Get on over to gatheringofmystics.com. We're having fantastic conversations over there. And as always, what are the most important things? Do good for animals and stay wild.